Malopkin, welcome. My name is George. Today we have a very special guest, which is Dr. Gerald Mugford. We're going to talk about very important topics that have to do with IA and some other pragmatic aspects. But I would like to, I would like you to get to know him a little bit more before starting. So Gerald Mugford is a lecturer in pragmatics, discourse analysis, and sociolinguistics at la Universidad de Guadalajara, Mexico. He holds a PhD in applied linguistics. He is a member of the Sistema Nacional de Investigadores, Nivel 2, and has the perfil PRODEP. His current research interests include politeness, impoliteness, foreign language interpersonal language use, and critical pedagogy. He has published articles and book chapters on politeness, impoliteness, anticortesia, Fari communion, and lexical studies. His book publications include developing cross-cultural relation ability in foreign language learning, asset-based pedagogy to enhance pragmatic competence, 2022, towards a new pedagogy for teaching foreign language politeness, Halliday's model and approaches to politeness, 2023, exploring the power of social talk in a foreign language, possibility for integration and critical pedagogy, 2024. Critical foreign language teaching, centering students' agency in foreign language pedagogy, 2025. And agency and pragmatic independence in foreign language communication, 2025. So, Dr. Mugford, welcome to this episode, and thank you very much for sharing your time and being here. I'm really glad to have you here.
Okay, thank you for the introduction and the invitation. I'm only too happy to be here.
Thank you. Well, we have a couple of questions. The very first question is, what is pragmatics?
Okay, pragmatic. So there's lots of different definitions, but I'll probably go back to David Crystal back in 1987, which I think he gave a very good definition of pragmatics, which is about the choices that we can make when we're interacting with someone else. It might be spoken, it might be written. And we think about when we're interacting with someone, like me with you at the moment, I think about possibilities, what is possible, what's probable. I'll be making decisions about what's appropriate. I'll be taking advantage of opportunities. And I also have to think about the consequences. If I say something, what are the outcomes? What are the constraints? What are the limitations? So pragmatics is very much about the choices that we all have and how we make those choices and how we take advantage of them. And sometimes we think about the consequences. I don't know, how does that sound as a definition?
I couldn't agree more. Mm-hmm. In your opinion, speaking of C2 level, I mean, I've got to this question because every now and then people ask me, to what extent can we achieve a C2 level? To what extent native speakers have a C level? And to what extent non-native speakers can achieve a C2 level? What would you say about it?
Yeah, I think from my personal perspective, I think people think that C2 level means about having perfect English or perfect French or perfect German, whatever's in the European Common Framework. And I think, and looking at the European Common Framework, the different levels is about what people can do rather than what they cannot do. So they're not so interested in mistakes, slips of the tongues, errors, etc. What can they do at a certain level? So I would say that native speakers often do have a C2 level. Obviously, there are people who maybe like pragmatics. Not everyone has a good command of pragmatics, even in their first language. So if you ask me, can non-native, and I don't really like the expressions native and non-native because it kind of gives the idea of first class and second class speakers. So I'd rather talk about speakers of English as another language. And I think, yeah, definitely they can achieve the C2 level. As it's really their awareness of what they can do with language. Can they achieve what they want to achieve, especially, let's say, in terms of showing empathy for other people, showing supportiveness, showing solidarity. I think those are the sort of abilities that one should be able to do at a C2 level. So really, that one's establishing relationships, developing relationships, consolidating relationships, and terminating relationships if the situation is, let's say, hostile, aggressive. That ability when to continue with a relationship and when not to continue with a relationship. So yeah, the answer is I would say that speakers of English as another language can achieve C2.
All right, all right. Well, as you know, I studied first of all to be a teacher, and then did that. I mean, linguistics. And now that I've been involved with translation, so I've run into different areas such as legal translation, medical translation, audiovisual translation. So when it comes to those areas, I mean, it's just incredible how much vocabulary we have, and it all depends on the area, right? Because I will say, well, I've been working on, let's say, I've been working, or someone who's been working on legal translation for 20, 30 years. Well, this person has a lot of vocabulary on that area, but then I mean, we go back to the question, like, how about the other areas, right? Because languages expand, in different areas depending on the context and the terminology. I mean, pretty much.
Yeah. So what are you asking? The effect of artificial intelligence on translation?
Well, that's another very good point. And actually, it goes to the next question. To what extent could, AI jeopardize translators, language teachers, linguistic jobs, for instance?
Yeah, I think AI has had an incredibly profound effect on the use of language, and it has provided us with, let's say, the elementary tools to undertake translation. So, for instance, if we use, say, Google Translate, it does an incredibly good job of getting us the basic translation, but it still needs the person who's proficient in language to, let's say, better the translation. Because I think if we look at, say, Halliday's idea of language, which is ideational, interpersonal, text. Ideational is the language of ideas, experiences, etc. Artificial intelligence is very good at giving us vocabulary. It's very good at giving us grammar. But when we look at the interpersonal, interacting with other people, I think that's where AI has the challenge. And that's obviously where pragmatics would come in. Is AI sensitive to relationships, how to interact with other people, the interpersonal language that's necessary? And textual language, well, that's whether it's written or spoken, maybe AI is okay with that. So I would say that AI, say, for translation, has, let's say, hurdles to overcome if it's really going to tackle interpersonal. If we think of language teachers and linguistic jobs, obviously AI is incredibly useful, say, for the declarative knowledge, the knowledge of language as a system, as a database. But when we think of procedural knowledge, the way to do things, how to interact, so I would go back to pragmatics. Can AI help us when we're meeting someone for the first time? Can it help us to be sensitive, responsive to that person in interaction that's going wrong? Can AI help us out? So I would think that AI has some way to go. I'm not one of these, say, Luddites, people who resist new technology. I think AI has a role to play, but I think it's going to be very, very challenging for AI to really come to terms with the interpersonal aspect of language.
In your opinion, do you think artificial intelligence could ever achieve, could actually exceed the pragmatic level, could actually achieve a very good pragmatic level? Eventually, of course.
Yeah, I really don't know, because if pragmatics is about choices and understanding the consequences of an interaction, Could AI be that sensitive to an interaction? I really don't know. I mean, I would say at the moment it's very far from that, but with the way that AI is developing, maybe it will be able to have that degree of sensitivity to language use. But obviously, we're still not taking into consideration individuality, our own identity. Um, Again, when we think of the pragmatic dimensions, say of locution, illocution, perlocution, so locution being the language, illocution being the communicative intent, and perlocution being the effect, I wonder whether AI can achieve that degree of specialization, let's say, in that they can form an utterance thinking about what is the intention and what is the desired effect on the addressee. So I guess my answer would be I don't know.
All right, all right. Yeah, it's a little bit difficult to predict, but because as you said, it's all about choices. So, and that's pretty much what humans beings normally make, right? I mean, which is difficult to predict. So, okay.
I guess I was going to say I guess AI would have to I'd have to be sensitive to every personality of someone to be able to engage in pragmatics as a skill, because obviously pragmatics and your choices depends on your own personality, your identity, etc. So I think that would be very difficult. So if you say you wanted to use pragmatics as a tourist, so you're just doing some basic interaction. Well, obviously pragmatics isn't really a problem. But if you're thinking about developing more meaningful relationships, I wonder whether AI could help or participate in that sort of interaction.
All right. One more question. I mean, speaking of translation, well, we have different areas such as legal translation, medical translation, literature translation, audiovisual translation, marketing, politics translation. Is pragmatics necessary in all those translation areas?
Well, I mean, it has to be in the sense that pragmatics is all about choice. But if, for instance, we said that we took politeness, so linguistic politeness as part of pragmatics, is every utterance well, does it involve politeness in every utterance? Can an utterance be neutral, that there's no politeness? So I guess the easy answer is yes, politeness is important. But I guess if you're talking about a translation that's purely ideational, like the idea of where you're just expressing ideas, experiences, etc., maybe pragmatics isn't always a prime consideration. I guess you'd have to think about the individual text and the individual context. So maybe that's not the answer you were expecting.
No, 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 all the opposite. It is actually. It happens the same in my case with language teaching. I mean, pragmatics is always a key in order to know how to use a language. So I think languages cannot really exist without pragmatics. So that's pretty much the main thing. I mean, because the way we pronounce something, the way we structure something, the words, the words choice, even the fluency or the speed have to do with the situation. And as you said, with the choice, right? Choices we have to make.
And I think that's the problem with language teaching, was a foreign language teaching, is that we focus a lot on the system, the grammar, the vocabulary, the pronunciation, but we don't focus enough on the actual use of language, whether it's discourse analysis, which looks at the text, and pragmatics, which really looks at the speaker, and maybe the psycholinguistic part of language. So I think that maybe that's where pragmatics needs much more of a focus in the language classroom.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right, Dr. Mugford. Those are pretty much the questions I had. I don't know if you would like to say something else.
No, I can't really think of anything else, because obviously a lot of my research is on pragmatics, because I think that we spend too much time on getting language users to be able to practice the language so that they have this ability to form sentences. They have this ability to have vocabulary, but it's that interaction that's missing. And I think that's, going back to AI, that's where the real challenge is, that maybe AI can help them with the much more systematic parts of language, but can it help with the interaction? And I think that's where pragmatics has a role to play and needs to be maybe given a much greater or higher profile in the language classroom.
All right, all right. So, well, thank you very much for your time, and especially for taking the time for being here. I mean, it was really nice to hear you, and well, hopefully we can see you on the next time.
Yeah, thank you for the invitation. Yeah, I'll be happy to chat again about language and pragmatics especially.
Thank you.